Hello, everybody. It is Ephemeral Style here, captain of the Colorado Dragons Den, taking you through our Week 4 matchup against Ducky in the Turn 17 Rocks Season 4 Draft League. His team here on the right side of the screen has a lot of heavy hitters that we need to be careful about. Urshifu Rapid Strike, Latios, Terra, Bug, Dark, and Ground Low Kicks, Moltres, Cyclozar, Muck, Thunderous Therian, who's given us a lot of trouble in leagues past, if you might remember. A Terra Registeel, which is either been on a tear or just about to go on a tear every single game it's come to. Grimmsnarl, Piloswine, Illumise, and Blossom. Let's talk about what I'm expecting for this team. I'm expecting Urshifu Rapid, Latios, a Terra Low Kicks, Registeel, Cyclozar, and actually not Cyclozar, rather probably like a Rocks Piloswine and a bulk up Grimmsnarl. The reason I'm expecting this is that Piloswine getting up Rocks, my opponent might have noticed that I don't bring a lot of removal, and it has a pretty decent matchup into the team. It's pretty fat, especially with like thick fat to take on something like Zapdos, which Zapdos is a really great matchup, but it's actually not coming. I think it's very centralizing in the builder, and that I think I can get away with some other sets because of what Zapdos forces to bring, such as Piloswine. Grimmsnarl with bulk up hits the entire team for neutral really easily, so that's something that I'm expecting to come. Registeel with Iron Defense and Amnesia is really free into my team, so probably like Iron Defense, Amnesia, Body Press, and then either Rest for longevity, or if you want to hit G-King, who's the obvious switch, and you bring Earthquake. I don't expect a Terra because you don't want to open yourself up to getting Toxic by G-King, especially if you're not bringing Rest, if you're bringing Earthquake. Otherwise, the top three are all just premier offensive pieces. Urshifu Rapid Strike, like with a Band or with a Sword Stance boost, just so hard to switch into. Latios, likewise, choice item. Soul Dew just throwing out neutral attacks, and just Abandoned Low Kicks does a ton of work into the team. So let's talk about how we prepped for this one. First up is our Galarian Slowking. This is it serves a couple roles here. This is a really gross set. We are running Covert Cloak with Max Spadef to take on Lottie. We avoid getting dropped by Luster Purge thanks to our Covert Cloak, and can chili out into our offensive pieces to fight Lottie. We used to have Ice Beam, but we took it off because we just can't fit it anymore. So we are running Psych Up, Taunt, Eerie Spell, Chilly Reception. And I know what you're thinking, what the fuck is this? This is to take on an unteared Registeel. Psych Up copies its boosts, Taunt prevents it from using its status moves, and then we can drain Body Press or Earthquake PP by using Eerie Spell. That is the goal, is to PP stall it out of attacks after psyching up its defensive boosts. Alternatively, if it's something like Earthquake, we have other means to handle that, which we'll get into. But that is our really scuffed Slowking set for the week. Next up is Archaludon. This is our Choice Band Low Kick switch-in. We're not max defense because there's no breakpoint above this where we don't live 2 hits after Rocks. The only thing that kills us in 2 hits after Rocks is Choice Banded Axe Kick, but no amount of defense lets us live 2 Choice Banded Axe Kicks anyways, so it's just not really worth going for. I think I might have forgotten Citrus Berry in those calcs, but it's whatever. We are Citrus. Everything else goes into Spadef to help us live hits from other Pokemon. And then our set this week is Brick Break to stop Screen Grimmsnarl from doing a lot of work. We are Draco Meteor to click onto Pokemon like Lottie, to click onto something like Urshifu if it gives us a stamina boost, if we catch it clicking Surging Strikes into us and can take a close combat afterwards, and to click into Low Kicks and kill it, because Brick Break won't. Stealth Rock is for a chip. I think Choice Band Low Kicks is pretty likely. I'm not super scared of it. If it isn't Choice Band, it really needs that extra damage to get over the hump. And so wearing that thing switches down with Stealth Rock is tantamount, because we can't take too many U-turns. But with Rocks coming up, it can't come in a million times either. And I think Cyclozard might be tough to fit in this matchup. And finally, Flash Cannon hits both Piloswine and Grimmsnarl, which I talked about um, coming in. And this is a good switch into Grimmsnarl, especially a bulk up variant where we can Flash Cannon and outspeed. So that is our Archaludon. Next up is super physically defensive Serena to take on what's his name? To take on Urshifu. I'm expecting Punching Glove because of the threat of like Zapdos statics and other Rocky helmets. It's a pretty like Punching Glove or P-pads is pretty common on Urshifu, so I'm running Boots to not give away my item, and because I don't think I'm going to get anything out of helmet anyways. With this, I mean, Urshifu is so strong. There's a lot of roles where like Adamant, Punching Glove, Close Combat can 2 KOS, but this is sort of the best it's going to get. We can bluff a Choice Scarf in Revenge because we don't need any investment with our 120 attack stat to kill with Power Whip, especially after a drop from Close Combat. We should be out of range of Ice Spinner 2 KOs always. It's just CC. Which means we can potentially get out into Glow King if we're going to call that. Synthesis lets us get back up and keep checking that, hopefully wear it down with rocks and get into our faster Revengers if we have to. Triple Axle hits Pokemon like Lottie. It's not something that's probably going to get clicked very often, and then Rapid Spin's just for hazard removal if that needs to be done, since we are Boots. Then we have Mamoswine with Thick Fat and an Assault Vest. We're EV'd to take a Close Combat in the snow from, I think it's Jolly Urshifu. I might be wrong on that. Otherwise, we have Spadef and Assault Vest to take on Latios. Everything else is in our attack. And our speed stat, I can't quite remember what that's for. I think it's for Lottie after a Rock Tomb. We are bringing Rock Tomb this week in case Moltres wants to be our Earthquake switch in, or Lottie as well, because just crippling their speed set is really good for us. Puts them in range of Icicle Crash, or obviously Rock Tomb and Moltres is just really strong. And then just Ice Shard, EQ as our stab options. EQ is really good if we can get on a Registeel that hasn't got a chance to boost yet, and just blow it up, because it probably is not going to want to Terra. It's probably going to be low kicks this week. And then we have our Choice Scarf Azelf, Terra Fairy, D-Gleam, Psyshock, Encore, and U-Turn. We have Encore. This used to be Trick Scarf, but I think Encore just works better into Registeel. This can, if we can Encore it into a setup move, if we can then get back into G-King and taunt it, we can Encore it into Earthquake if that's what it wants to do on G-King, and we can chili out on that and Encore it. Then U-Turn is for momentum. Otherwise, D-Gleam Psyshock hits everything really hard. Psyshock is for something like an Assault Vest Muck, as opposed to Psychic. But otherwise, D-Gleam is just a really, really free click into this opposing team. So, and then our defense is to take on Scarf or Shifu lead, I believe. But also it's just what we fit after our speed set anyways. And then finally is Battle Bond, Life Orb, Greninja. We're running Extrasensory, Ice Beam, Surf, and U-Turn. The plan is to outspeed Lottie after a boost if we get our own boost, coverage to hit the team, and then Life Orb to make sure we get those kills. So this is a really potent cleaner depending on how the rest of our defensive team manages to whittle down Ducky's team over the course of the game. So let's go ahead and get into how that battle actually went. We are going to lead off with Azelf into low kicks. Banded first impression can kill here, even if we Terra Fairy. And Azelf is really important in stopping Registeel, so I can't let that happen. I'm just going to get into my Archaludon, and he's going to hard switch without tearing into the Registeel, which is just crazy. Crazy work, to be honest. We're going to get out into Slow King, which is our Registeel answer. I see body presses. does like no damage, and then switches into Grimmsnarl as we chili out because it hasn't boosted yet. We're fine to get out into something like Azelf and Encore if it starts boosting, or Earthquakes or anything like that. But Grimmsnarl comes in, so we're just going to go into Archaludon, which is our Grimmsnarl answer. He doubles to Piloswine on our Stealth Rocks. Honestly, Flash Cannon was probably pretty free here, but I thought Registeel would be coming in. So that's why I wanted to get up my rocks now to start working on shipping in that low kicks, which I mentioned is being really important. I did think Piloswine was coming, but looking at it, I didn't like prep super great for it. I just kind of said, yeah, I'll handle it. And the time has come for Archaludon to handle it. So I got a Flash Cannon off for a ton, which is great. It means I can 2-hit KO it, as he does have a bit of an over prediction here and Throat Chops on Galarian Slowking. Or no, I guess on Azelf coming in. Obviously, with Earthquake on Slowking. So on our Untered Azelf coming in, he wants to Throat Chop. But we are just going to take that on the chin and Flash Cannon to pick up Pylo. And that is great for us. There's no rocks on our side of the field. Piloswine's down. So that was a bit of a mon we didn't prep for, handled pretty expeditiously by our Archaludon, which is nice. Urshifu comes in. I really don't want to take a CC even at +1 because I'll really open myself up to low kicks. If I take Chip, obviously like Serena with Queenly Majesty can take on priority moves. But it becomes a real gamble because obviously if I take a Choice Bandit U-turn or Leech Life or something, I'm going to explode. So we have the Urshifu check. We might as well use it. We're going to go out into Serena as our opponent close combats and does exactly 50%, which is terrifying. He does 50% with this CC, and the roll for Urshifu to do 50% again is 50%. At this point, I say that it's probably just better to get my... Honestly, I probably should have just Synthesis on the roll or the switch. But I Power Whip on the Lottie, and I got a huge crit. So shout out Miss Steppa for that. We're going to get into G-King on Lottie, which is our check. Dracos. Does not do nearly enough as Grimmsnarl comes in, and we're just going to chili out, get into our anti-Grimmsnarl measures. In this case, I'm going to go into Serena because I think I can use this opportunity to Synthesis. As Registeel comes in, I'm going to Synthesis. I forget that Synthesis is half in the snow, so that's kind of on me. So not a great play, actually, because I let Registeel in. We're going to go into G-King as he Iron Defenses. He switches into Grimmsnarl as I taunt, which is nice. Grimmsnarl without status moves is pretty bad. As he Spirit Breaks our Archaludon. It does a pretty solid chunk of damage, which means this Grimmsnarl is pretty heavily attack invested. Urshifu is going to come in and take nothing from this Flash Cannon, because obviously we're not Dracoing there. We do get a Spadef drop, but that doesn't super matter. At this point, because I've gotten pretty low, and I don't like the odds of Serena coming in, I just decide to throw away Archaludon. I think that with how much chip Archaludon has on it, I'd rather take advantage and just kill this Urshifu now, assuming I land Draco, and keep Serena around for Queenly Majesty play into low kicks later in the game when it needs to outspeed to kill something like Greninja or Mamoswine, for example, or Azelf even. So we do live. It is a little nail-bitingly close, but we do live. We get our stamina boost, we get our Citrus Berry back, and Draco comes in and picks up the Urshifu. So we are now at -4 Spatak after getting Spirit broken and clicking Draco. Lottie comes in. We can go into G-King here. Honestly, probably should just to save the sack. Yeah, the right play is to go into our 95% G-King here. Even if he flip turns, we still have lots of gaming in these guys. Urshifu is probably the biggest threat to us since it's been handled. But that's not what happens. Instead, we stay in, and the poor Lottie misses a Draco and dies to our own Draco. So credit to Draco miss. It's a tough game. Low kicks comes in here. At this point, it takes rocks. So I'm like, okay, it's not boots. It's banded. I'm at 28%. It's never getting any better than this. Axe Kick is going to come out and kill me. He Terra bugs, Axe Kicks, and Archaludon lives because he's that guy. And Draco. At this point, I'm minus so much attack that Draco doesn't kill, but that's okay. It does mean that we get 2 rounds of rocks to kill low kicks now. And he reveals that he's not banded by going for X kick, and to knock off X kick, banded obviously would have killed. But that means Greninja can come in because you can't first impression anymore. We just get to throw off a free surf and we pick up the low kicks, which is awesome for us. Battle Bond procs, we take our Life Orb chip, and Registeel comes in, and we're just gonna surf and get our big chip off on this. Amnesia procs, so we are going to have to get out here because we no longer break this. Just get out into our G King as a body press comes off. Hopefully we taunt here on, okay, it's EQ. Yes, we taunt. We take another EQ. Even if we get crit, it's fine because we have Azelf and Mamoswine's position really well. We Eerie Spell on a predicted body press, I guess. Honestly, that was a misplay. That should have been a Chilly Reception every time, I think, into this Azelf, because we can encore it into +0 body press for our Slowking, if that's what happens, because we can take a +0 body press super freely. So that was a mistake, letting myself get that chipped, risking the crit and not even getting the free switch into Azelf. I guess it doesn't really matter because the full set's been revealed. It can't touch Azelf anyways, and it's still taunted. So we do just get out to Azelf, get the opportunity to encore it into Earthquake, and then we are just going to switch into Serena if he decides to stay in an Earthquake, or if he decides to go into Grimmsnarl. It's the best switch for both. We are going to get out into Mamoswine because I don't want to kill this and let Registeel back in. So I want to kill this with Mamoswine. I Earthquake. I don't pick up the KO. He's Brick Break. If he was Drain Punch, we would have had to revenge kill this with somebody else, and Registeel would have had an opportunity to come back in after taking chip. We probably would have just gone Greninja, surfed, did like 30% to this Registeel, gotten out into G King, taunted, and then killed with Mamoswine. Or not Mamoswine, Mamoswine's dead. Yeah, I don't know. Drain Punch here might have won the game. Maybe I should have played around that, but I did not. Ice Shard picks up the kill on Grimmsnarl, and unboosted Registeel comes in and it's going to get quaked. And that's the game. I don't think I noticed how close that endgame was looking back on it now. Probably should have played that differently, but that's how the game goes. We end up with a 5-0, a pretty close 5-0, but a 5-0 nonetheless. You can see our opponent was scared of Scarf Serena, so that's nice for us. The diff is great. Bouncing back after a 5-0 loss to a 5-0 win always feels great. And we are looking forward to going into week 5. Week 5 is the last week before the trade deadline at the end of the week. There was one move that happened during this week, which I'll discuss at the start of the prep for our next matchup, because you will see a new mon on the screen. And a little bit of spoilers, there was a lot of roster moves made after that. So in 2 weeks, you'll see what has changed with our team and where we're standing going into the trade deadline. Right now, we're sitting at 2-2 with a pretty solid diff. There's a big log jam at 2-2. We have 4 more weeks to try and make playoffs. So we just got to keep doing what we did this week and secure our wins. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week.